is getting a new electric car. The Chevrolet Volt has been available in the U.S. since last year and was even named Green Car of the Year there. Now Chevy is taking the Volt overseas, just in time for the car maker's 100th anniversary. Plus, Louis Chevrolet, who founded the company in the U.S. in 1911, was born in Switzerland.
Stefan
Raschig of Chevrolet says the brand wants to prove it can be a leader on the technology front, and the Volt underscores that point. The car maker hopes its first electric car will draw attention to other Chevy models available in Germany. The Volt is anything but sluggish on the Autobahn. It's a real contender, with speeds topping out at roughly 160 kilometers an hour. That means drivers don't have to sacrifice much in terms of performance. The central console is equipped with a screen that tells drivers how much battery charge is left. A green circle on the dashboard, seen here on the right, gauges energy efficiency. The ball rises or falls if the driver wastes energy braking or gives the Volt too much gas. Chevrolet's Jörg Wahl says the Volt also has a feature called a range extender. The car runs on electricity the first 40 to 80 kilometers. The range extender is a gas engine that switches on when the charge is dead, allowing drivers to go another 500 kilometers. The two engines are built in side by side, but the electric motor is meant to do most of the work. It's perfect for day-to-day driving and short trips. The gas engine is a reserve for when there's no battery power left. Jörg Wahl points out the electric and gas drive units. He says the car can't run without the electric component in place. But if you were to take out the gas engine, the car would keep on going until the battery's drained.
Bis die Batterie hier erschöpft ist und der Elektromotor dann abgeschaltet werden würde.
The Volt has flipped the typical fuel hierarchy on its head. In most hybrid cars, there are still two engines, but the electric component serves mostly as a support system and can only drive very short distances on its own. The Volt has things the other way around, putting the focus on green energy, not gas. Studies show that most people can get by with a daily drive capacity of about 60 kilometers. That's a distance the Volt's electric motor can handle without the help of other fuel. But making that a viable option for drivers means the technology has to be accessible, particularly when it comes to charging the battery.
The
Chevy executive shows us how to make sure the Volt is road ready. The most important part is charging the battery. The port for that is located on the front side of the car. Then there's the classic fuel tank behind the rear door. The car's battery pack runs from the trunk up to the transmission. But besides two fuel door release buttons to fill up the gas and the battery, the interior looks a lot like any other car, if not slightly more futuristic. There are plenty of cutting-edge features in the vehicle, including the automatic gear stick that fits right into the console in the park position. Instead of knobs and dials, the car's console features buttons and a field of touch functions. The display might seem a bit overwhelming at first, but once you fire up the Volt, the icons are helpful, especially since the electric motor is so quiet. The Volt has already hit the streets of the U.S., and it's set to take on Europe by the end of 2011. It's a car with big potential, and the Volt specs alone are bound to convince some drivers that it's a good investment. The Volt's counterpart in Europe is the Opel Ampera. General Motors owns both Opel and Chevrolet. That means the two models use the same technology. So far, they've seen little in the way of competition from other car makers trying to break into the electric market. Here are this week's comparison test competitors. Two mid-size sedans with plenty of space for a large family.
The Renault
Fluence is still relatively new on the market and is said by its maker to boast the feeling of a mid-range car for the price of a compact model, says our man on the road, Matas Kurat. Now, in its second generation, the Skoda Octavia makes the same claim. Let's see if they're up to that promise. We start with the Fluence. It was launched in 2010. Models for the European market are built in Turkey. It is based on the Samsung SM3 and Renault Megane 3 models. The maker's aim was to offer tried and tested technology and slick packaging, and at a reasonable price. The entry-level version is available for just over 18,000 euros. The 103 kilowatt version we tested cost just over 21,000 euros in Germany. French cars used to have a luxurious gourmet-style image. That ultra comfort doesn't apply 100% to the Renault Fluence. The handling is soft, the steering very soft, likewise the pedals. But you still notice a lot of bumps and undulations, and the car is pretty loud. A shame, says Matas. And what about the interior design? It takes some getting used to the instruments being slanted back. Normally they're more vertical, which Matas finds more convenient. Here, they're at an angle, which he's not too keen on. But it's not all bad news. The sat-nav in the Fluence is among the cheapest built-in systems of its kind. It was co-created with TomTom and is operated via this remote control and not via touchscreen, as is usually the case with TomTom. It takes getting used to, but then works perfectly well. Now to the Octavia. Its name is revived from a model that was originally launched in 1959, but was then discontinued in 1971 before being resurrected in the mid-1990s. The second generation of the new Octavia has been around since 2004 and was revamped 2 years ago. The basic version with an output of 59 kilowatts costs just 15,390 euros. More power doesn't come for free, and our 1.8-liter TSI with 118 kilowatts and dual-clutch transmission will set you back just under 26,000 euros. Then there are the optional extras. The Octavia's suspension is comfortable but firm. Of course, you notice undulations, but not much more than in the softer Renault Fluence. The steering is pleasantly direct, meaning reassuringly sound contact to the road at all times. What bothers Matas at the moment is the road noise traveling from the back to the front. He's not sure whether that's due to the tires. So, further points lost on the ride front. And the interior? The Octavia's interior matches that of other Volkswagen Group models in terms of workmanship. In certain cases, it's even better. Matas says the main instrument cluster, for example, is much nicer than the one in the new EOS. The exterior shows the degree of attention paid to detail. The VW influence is also clearly evident on the body. The Skoda cuts an elegant figure, but nevertheless has a dynamic presence. As does the Renault. Bold contours on the hood, and a front section that gives the car a mean look. The overall impression is a sporty one. And the Fluence shows its elegant side at the rear with its curved taillights. The two candidates have ample cargo space, 560 liters in the Octavia Fastback, where you can lift up the entire tailgate. The Renault Fluence boasts 530 liters, but the devil is in the detail. While the Octavia's tailgate is hinged at the top and on struts, the Fluence has huge bars that inevitably get in the way. Plus, the spring mechanism at the back is exposed, so when the car is fully loaded, the trunk can no longer open or close properly.
Der liegt frei, das heißt, wenn ich den richtig voll lade, dann geht die Klappe gar nicht mehr richtig auf oder zu.
After the two have showed what they can do on country roads, the action moves to the Autobahn. We want to see how comfortable and secure they feel at higher speeds. First up is the Skoda. The noise level here in the Skoda Octavia varies strongly according to the road surface. Here, whether driving at 120 or 140 kilometers an hour, our noise gauge displays values between 71 and 74 decibels.
71 und 74 dBA.
An acceptable noise level over longer journeys. So, how does the Renault fare? The gauge says the Renault Fluence is at the same level as the Skoda Octavia, but it feels louder due to the louder engine and stronger wind noise at the doors. Why are the test values the same? The measurements don't necessarily take deep frequencies into account. But now, it's time to sum up. The price difference of around 5,000 euros has to have manifested somewhere. If you're not too demanding on the workmanship front and primarily want a big family car with plenty of cargo space for going on vacation, then you'll like the Renault. But those preferring quality and comfort will be more likely to plump for the Skoda Octavia.
Der entscheidet sich höchstwahrscheinlich für den Skoda Octavia.
The Panamera diesel is Porsche's new endurance machine. Its 80-liter tank can keep it out on the road for over 1,200 kilometers. Running on standard fitted tires, the 184 kilowatt powered Gran Turismo model's consumption is officially 6.5 liters. On low friction tires, that figure is even lower. The new model can be recognized by the diesel label on the front doors. A coupe version of the Mercedes C-Class is now also available in a souped-up version, engineered by AMG. The C63 AMG Coupe is powered by a 6.3-liter V8 engine with a peak torque of 600 Newton-meters. If 336 kilowatts of output aren't enough, then you can invest in the AMG Performance Package for extra beef. Prices for the high-performance car in Germany start at 72,500 euros. The Volkswagen Golf GTI is legendary. The car has changed, but it's maintained its iconic status. The story of the Golf GTI began in 1976. It was unthinkable back then to create a family car with sporty features. But Volkswagen did just that and spawned a legend. The car soon won a real fan following. The Golf GTI with 110 horsepower and 182 kilometers per hour is a real alternative for those who like to step on the gas but don't have the money to spend on a Mercedes or a Porsche. Racing driver Klaus Nietzwitz says the Golf GTI was a really cool car when it hit the market back in 1976. It could easily outpace every Mercedes 220S and BMW 22 Tii. And though it didn't really look like a sports machine, it was a real sprinter. He says Volkswagen has only made slight changes to its Golf version in 2011, with the result that it still bears a strong resemblance to the 1976 model and is easily recognizable.
So leichte Veränderungen zu machen. Also der Wiedererkennungswert bei dem Auto ist nach wie vor da.
The Golf GTI turns 35 this year. Volkswagen used the occasion to roll out a new motoring highlight. It was unveiled at a GTI conference in Austria. the Golf 24. But this baby isn't for sale. The unique model is designed solely for the racetrack. It has only a 2.5-liter 5-cylinder engine under its hood. But it gives a cracking 324 kilowatts thanks to turbocharging. It's a real highlight for special occasions, of which there are 2 this year. One is the GTI conference at Wörthersee, says Volkswagen's Ulrich Hackenberg, which has been held for the past 30 years and attracts real car freaks who like to tinker with and customize their own cars. The other big motoring event is the 24-hour Nürburgring, where loads of Volkswagen and GTI fans get together. He says Volkswagen's idea is to present a real spectacle there, with an all-wheel Golf that packs a punch and wows the spectators.
Mit sehr viel Leistung und Allrad unterwegs ist und der ganz einfach die Fans begeistert.
Burning up the tarmac with a GTI for the past 35 years. The GTI stands for Gran Turismo Injection. The car is a real treat for motor racing buffs. Some 250,000 turned up at the Nürburgring for the 24-hour race, a ceremonial dance to invoke the rain gods and give the all-wheel powered VW a better chance against the competition. And the car did indeed manage to keep up with Lamborghini Gallardo and the rest. But an accident and technical glitches took the GTI out of the action. Motorsports director Chris Nissen was disappointed for the team, but he's full of praise for their performance. Everyone poured all their energy and skill into the undertaking. The GTI has proved its mettle over the last 35 years. And hey, if it falters on the tarmac, it can always be used for something else. Each car marquee has a story to tell of success, innovation, and groundbreaking models, but also a failure. And the Bentley has a particularly stirring tale. Until 1930, the name Bentley was synonymous with sensational motor racing success. But a year later, it went broke and was swallowed up by the rival Rolls Royce. The first common product was the Bentley 3.5-liter car. When our test driver Christoph Bauer first heard he was to drive a Bentley, he prepared for a noisy, heavy metal machine and a strenuous workday. But after a few minutes of driving it, the Bentley 3.5-liter turned out to be extremely easy with smooth and precise gear changes. The car's 100 horsepower makes it fun to roar up mountain roads. The Bentley 3.5-liter first went into production as a sporty spinoff of the Rolls Royce 2025 in the fall of 1933. Our model is from the world's most popular car museum in Wolfsburg in Germany. It was created in 1934 by London-based coachmaker Van den Plas. The sleek and clear-cut interiors hold no surprises. A real shame for the owner to leave the driving to a chauffeur. The 3.5-liter is a lot of fun to operate. A low center of gravity and an elastic inline 6-cylinder engine make it a dream to drive for anyone. This Bentley 3.5-liter was marketed under the slogan, "The Silent Sports Car," reveals test driver Christoph Bauer. And it really is quite quiet. For those who don't like it that way, there's a lever, his favorite feature in the car. You push it forward, a few flaps open up, and there it is. You can pump up the sound. The inline 6-cylinder engine doesn't have the 4-valve technology of earlier Bentley designs, but with 110 horsepower at 3,800 revs per minute, it packs quite a punch. The gear shift isn't great. The knob is directly next to the driver's right knee. The higher gears are, however, synchronized. According to Christoph, Ettore Bugatti once said that Mr. Bentley would build the world's fastest trucks, but that changed once it was taken over by Rolls Royce. This Bentley 3.5-liter was the first product of that alliance. Christoph once read in a review that the car's driving comfort was almost ladylike. and anyone who's ever sat behind the wheel of a blower Bentley can really value that development. The blower Bentley, fitted with Roots superchargers, outperformed the competition on the racing track between 1929 and 1932, but mostly only for one record-breaking lap. The unbelievable 5 Le Mans victories, clocked up between 1924 and 1930, were claimed by sturdier Bentley models.
Na, ist das ein
Our test driver is over the moon about the car's stylishness. This wonderful body comes from a coach manufacturer in London, and there's a lot of Rolls Royce in this Bentley 3.5-liter. The chassis originates from a Rolls Royce prototype, and the 3.7-liter machine from the Rolls Royce 2025. And horsepower was boosted to 110. And that's testimony to the Bentley's sporty image. Some purists would say this Bentley here is actually a Rolls Royce. He says to him it makes no difference. He likes it the way it is, in particular the impressive headlights. Following the takeover by Rolls-Royce, Bentley further distanced itself from the bulky truck image. In the mid-1930s, the 1,177 silent sports car rolled out of the Rolls-Royce plant and into the garages of well-heeled owners. The price tag, £1,380. Test driver Christoph Bauer isn't a die-hard fan of such pre-war models, but the Bentley 3.5-liter has really got to him. An extremely casual machine that set international standards in comfort, operation, and stability well into the 1950s. This car definitely marks a milestone in automobile history. Rolls-Royce preserved the sportiness of its associated brand Bentley only for a short time. In 1935, owner Walter Owen Bentley moved to carmaker Lagonda. Since 1999, Bentley has belonged to Germany's Volkswagen. A checkered history.